Jane Curta and her three children, two daughters and a son, immigrated to the United States in 2002 after the sudden death of her husband. By 2007, Jane's family was well established in Powder Springs, Georgia, a suburb northwest of Atlanta. Her oldest daughter, Isabella, was in college, and her middle daughter, Annabelle, was going through high school, along with another younger brother. But during the summer of 2007, things took a turn for the worse. On July 29, 2007, they had family visiting from Kenya. Her sister-in-law left her only son to have a sleepover with James' only son. What seemed like a normal day turned into anything but that. The next day, her sister-in-law tried to call as she got no answer. She decided to go over to the house and check on them with her niece. When she got there, the front door was locked and there was no answer when she knocked. She walked around to the back. It was a raised patio and the door was unlocked and partially open. Her niece decided to push open the door further, calling out their names. Then she made a horrifying discovery: a pool of blood. She then proceeded to call the police, and when they entered, they found Jane, her two daughters, bludgeoned to death on the lower level of the house, and the boys upstairs were barely alive in the beds they slept in. Rushed to the hospital, the boys barely made it, but they were both in a coma for several days. Upon waking up, they said they didn't remember anything from that night. Police found no footprints, no DNA, no fingerprints, and no disturbed pools of blood. It was like a ghost did it, one policeman said. The medical examiner determined that all of them had been hit multiple times with a long, skinny object that was likely forked at one end, though the weapon was not found on the scene. But based on the blood spatter, Jane had definitely put up a fight against their attacker before she was killed. All that was reported at the scene was that there was blood evidence everywhere, and a man who lived close walked by the scene. The blood didn't come back as anyone's but the two boys, two girls, and Jane. The police questioned the man who walked by if he had seen anything weird the past couple of days, but he said he didn't. Then, when they went through the phone records, they found that there was one person she had been in regular contact with all day, a man named Patrick, who police assumed she met through their church. It turned out to be the neighbor who walked by. Upon questioning, he said that they just talked and didn't know why their last call was at 10 p.m., even though phone records show that over 4 weeks previous to the murder, they had called an average of 12 times a day, and some going late into midnight. All other questions, he just answered, "I don't know." What did happen, no one will ever know unless there's new information, but there are lots of theories. This case has tons of internet snoops looking for an answer. They were immigrants who escaped a violent, misogynistic group that wanted to mutilate women. Could it be a hate crime? Some of these theories include the people they escaped in Kenya coming for them, as they were known for killing people with opposite views who tried to leave, but had never gone to another country to prove their point before. Another theory involved her cousin Owen, who lived next door, as he told authorities he went to check on them earlier in the day, but they never released further information about him. One of the most plausible theories was that Patrick, their neighbor, killed them. The reports show they found a bloody towel between both their houses, but it didn't come back as blood from the victims, and there was no disturbance of blood that would show a towel wipe in the house. The theory goes that Patrick was mad that Jane rejected him or something similar, which would explain their phone call at 10 p.m. Then, between midnight and 3 a.m., he went over out of rage and killed her, then decided to kill her kids too. Near the end of the killing, he cut or scraped himself, so when he got back to his car, he wiped himself off with the towel, which then he threw out the window between houses, though authorities never got a blood sample from Patrick that could have ended this theory or proved it. The missing weapon was the biggest issue because they only had rough impressions from the victims. Some said it could have been a fire poker, which would fit the description of the item, but there was not one missing from the scene, and it would be very unlikely he would bring that item from his house when neighbors said he was an avid gun collector. But someone else, like her cousin, could have, as they said he was quiet and didn't know anyone very well. The idea that her cousin did it was never explored very much because he left Kenya with them. It may have been that during his time in America he was radicalized and eventually held the same views as those he had escaped many years before, but this was never proved. The way authorities described the scene makes it sound like a crime of passion, but did not find any identifying markers in the house makes it sound like a professional did it. Authorities fought over this as they couldn't find any more evidence. All they had were the victims' bodies, blood spatter with no disturbances, a possibly unconnected towel, and two survivors who didn't remember anything. I believe that the neighbor Patrick did it as he was the only one with regular communication and kept a close proximity. This, however, is not provable because it is speculation. Many say this case is unsolvable 18 years later, but the family still holds hope for the prosecution of this horrible person. This could have been a case of a really lucky, dumb murderer, or is it a methodical, cold killer?